What is up, my people? Today I am bringing you a video about a topic that's somewhat subjective, yet it makes sense to me. It's based off some recent news and just some logical reasoning. So basically I'm going to talk about Xbox going down the hole and how I think Xbox has become the new Sega of gaming consoles. It's been roughly 15 years since Xbox first came onto the gaming scene, and to me it's always been sort of the Sega of gaming, and by that I mean it kind of just fell into the shoes that Sega was wearing before it decided to become a software-only company. And speaking of software companies, Microsoft being one themselves, seemed pretty hard-pressed to compete in the console war, although it could never actually reach the top of the ladder as it wanted to so badly. Its biggest success by far was the Xbox 360, which has sold 84 million units to date, making it the 6th highest selling gaming platform of all time. Definitely a respectable accomplishment. However, it still fell behind the PS3 and the Wii last generation in terms of sales. Now, some will fruitlessly argue that the 360 beat the PS3 in sales last gen, and in the sense of total sales, they would be correct. But given the fact that the 360 was out for an entire year prior to the PS3's release, that gives it a significant advantage. So logically, the only fair way to see who really won is to see who sold the most on average per year. So the 360 did 84 million units in 10 years, the PS3 did 82 million in 9 years. So on average, the Xbox 360 sold 8.4 million units per year, whereas the PS3 sold 9.1 million units per year. So that means if you took the first year away from the 360 that it was released at the same time as the PS3, it would probably only be at around 75 million at this point, which is not bad by any means. But third place out of 3 competitors simply means last place. Anyways, enough about last gen, let's talk about this gen. Starting with the Wii U, the Wii U is clearly in a rough spot, although it's not quite in the dumps. It's managing to sell around 330,000 units per month worldwide, which I guess you could say is respectable, yet that is considerably lower than its predecessor, which was averaging almost triple that at 938,000 units sold worldwide per month. The Xbox One did get off to a better start than the 360 did, selling 2.5 times faster than in its first 3 months, yet overall is now averaging less consoles sold per month with only 625,000 units sold worldwide per month compared to the 360, which averaged 700,000 units sold worldwide per month throughout its lifetime. These numbers are just overall averages taken from the total lifetime sales, and my source for the info, if anyone chooses to look it up, is Wikipedia. So another thing is the Xbox One sales figures are very vague too, because unlike other sales numbers that we have, Microsoft only reveals their shipped to retails numbers and not their sold to customers numbers. So every time you see a sales figure for Xbox One, you're probably looking at a number that includes all of the unpurchased Xbox Ones that are sitting on store shelves and in the back storage rooms of every retail store in the entire world. Basically, this is just a tactic used to inflate the number to make the sales look better than they really are. I really have no idea how many retail stores there are in the world, but I imagine most of them have an Xbox One or 2 sitting on their shelves waiting to be sold. The last sales update Microsoft gave was on their year anniversary of the Xbox One, and they stated that they almost reached 10 million shipped to retail. So at that point, back in November, it was probably close to 7 million sold to customers, and that's just a guess on my part. It could be lower or it could be higher than that, but not by much. Chances are they're probably sitting around 10 million sold to customers at this moment. I'm not going to get into details about the PS4 sales success because it's a little embarrassing for the other 2 competitors, to be frank, so let's just move on. So back to the topic at hand, Microsoft had a rocky start with the Xbox One. Their initial vision was crushed by fan feedback, forced them to change their entire plan. The Kinect was rejected by fans and consumers, which forced them to backpedal on yet another one of their visions. They started to close the gap a tiny bit over the holiday with 2 consecutive months as the top-selling console brand, but took a hefty price cut and a couple free games to do it. And it wasn't long before the PS3 was right back on top again anyway. The PS4, sorry. Right back on top, after the holiday season. Since then, Microsoft has been riding on the DX12 wagon for quite a while, and it was finally confirmed at GDC that DX12 is primarily for Windows PCs, and it will not do much, if any, to help boost the Xbox One's performance at all. Microsoft also announced things like crossplay between Xbox and PC, and the ability to use Xbox peripherals on PC. Xbox games are going to be available to play on Windows PC, and just a whole bunch of PC. Now, forgive me if you don't agree, But it sounds to me like Microsoft is thinking about abandoning the console market and diving into the PC market. And you know what? Even though it would be a giant swift kick in the face to every loyal Xbox fan out there, I think it would probably be the best business move for them to make, because after all, they are a software company. And if they stop worrying about trying to compete with everyone else's hardware and focus on what made them big in the first place, then they likely wouldn't be eating everyone else's dust. I think the only way for Microsoft to grow the Xbox One is for the empty promises of the cloud computing to come true, and it would have to happen very, very soon. At this point, there's 4 options as far as gaming goes. You got the Wii U, the Xbox One, the PS4, and then you got the PC. The Wii U has its niche audience. The PC is for the ones who want the most high-end visual effects and the most customizable options and stuff. The PS4 is the #1 console choice among gamers, primarily because of its power. The Xbox One really doesn't have anything going for it, and I'm not trying to put it down or sound like a PS fanboy or whatever. This is just real talk. What does Xbox have that makes it stand out? Games? Those games are going to be on PC eventually. PlayStation and Nintendo both have games of their own. Apps? Everyone's got apps. Apps are on every device these days. Better online? I mean, people always say Xbox has better online, but I haven't seen any proof of this yet. In fact, since Christmas, I've seen Xbox Live down 2 to 3 times, and I haven't seen PlayStation Network down once. So, what does Xbox One have that makes it stand out among the rest of the gaming platforms? The answer, as of now, is a big fat nothing. The only thing that can make it unique is if the magical cloud computing started to push their games out with PC-like graphics. But let's not forget, the PS4 has a cloud of its own, and it was confirmed a while back that it's capable of the same type of computing tasks. So even with the special power of the cloud, you're still left with Xbox as the least unique of the 4 gaming options. Kinect was probably the most unique feature it had to offer, and look how that turned out. So, just like Sega had nothing to offer when the N64 and the PS1 were embarrassing the Dreamcast, Sega decided to opt out of the hardware and stick strictly to software. And you know how they say history repeats itself? Well, Microsoft is the new Sega, so it's either last place or it's fighting to hold on to second, yet it's miles from the top, and they need to do something about it. So Microsoft should give up on the Xbox brand and focus on bringing the Xbox experience to the PC gaming world in terms of games and peripherals, and keep their focus on what they're apparently supposed to be good at, which is creating software. I believe that this is the agenda of the company, and let me just be clear that this isn't going to be a sudden move. It will be a slow and gradual thing, so all of you Xbox One players out there can still enjoy your console. You're still going to get Forza 6 and Halo 5 and Fable Legends and Gears 4 and all that stuff that you hold so dear. But gradually, you're going to start to see Microsoft's focus shift from the Xbox One in terms of where their primary support towards gaming is concerned, and it will be geared more towards PC, where DX12 will be pumping out some truly next-gen games. Software-wise, they can compete. Hardware-wise, they just don't have it, and it appears to me that they're finally starting to realize that. So as I said in the beginning of the vid, this topic is pretty subjective. Everyone's perspective on topics like this is going to be different. So feel free to sound off in the comments whether you agree or disagree. I'm finished with my piece though. Thank you all for watching. I'm Vile Self. Until next time, villains. Later.